This is days 8 to 14 of the Fit Again project. It is the second week of trying to get fit again, and it did not turn into a perfect transformation montage. It was more honest than that. Some numbers moved, some numbers did not. The workouts improved. Real food stayed in the picture. There was ice cream, there was a rest day, and by the end of the week, there was also a cold and fever. In other words, this was not a perfect fitness week. It was a real one. Day 8 started with a strange but useful result. In the morning, I was 70 kilos. In the evening, I was still 70 kilos. The scale did not move at all, but I did. I completed 25 minutes on the Peloton, kept the routine going, and tracked the day properly. Food was real life too. Muesli with blueberries, chicken meatballs with mashed potato and coleslaw, oopsies with low-fat ham, and yes, strawberry ice cream. This was the first lesson of the week. Same weight does not mean no progress. Same weight can still mean a better routine. Day 9 brought the first stronger scale moment of the week. Morning weight, 70,050 kilos. Evening weight, 70,080. The number had dropped again, but I do not want this project to become only about chasing the lowest number. The more important part was the work after the bike. I completed 25 minutes on the Peloton, then added 10 push-ups, 15 bodyweight squats, 15 lunges, a 15-second wall sit, and a 15-second plank. That may sound basic, but for this rebuild it mattered. The number dropped, but the reps mattered more. That was the story of day 9. Day 10 was the opposite kind of reminder. I started at 70 kilos, then finished the evening at 71 thans. If I judged only one evening reading, it could have felt like I was going backwards. But the work was repeated. Another 25 minutes on the Peloton, followed by push-ups, squats, lunges, a wall sit, and a plank. Food stayed simple: muesli, tofu with brown rice, Greek white cheese, and oopsies with cottage cheese. Day 10 was not dramatic. It was the kind of day that builds the habit quietly. No big breakthrough, but the work was done again. Day 11 was a good example of why I want this project to stay honest. The scale was exactly the same in the morning and at night, 60 kilos. But the food was not a perfect fitness cliché. There was an oopsie burger, homemade chips, fit tiramisu, and fit strawberry ice cream. And still, the workout happened. 25 minutes on the Peloton, then the same beginner strength circuit. It was not a perfect day. It was a completed day. That is the difference I am trying to learn. Perfection is fragile, completion is useful. Then came day 12, and day 12 was important because it was a rest day. I started at 70 kilos and ended at 70 Food included fitness muesli, fried chicken with diced potatoes and coleslaw, then cottage cheese with apricots. But the main decision was not food or weight. The main decision was to rest because I needed it. That is difficult when you are trying to prove progress every day. It is tempting to think that every day has to be harder than the day before. But a rebuild cannot be all pressure. Rest is not quitting. Rest is what keeps the routine alive. Day 13 was the strongest training day of this block. I started at 70 kilos, the lowest morning number so far. Then training went up too. 30 minutes on the Peloton, followed by 15 push-ups, 15 squats, 15 lunges, a 15-second wall sit, and a 15-second plank. Food stayed real again: muesli, high-protein pizza, fit strawberry ice cream, and a few apricots. It was not a perfect diet day, but it was stronger. The bike was longer, the reps were higher, the routine was still there. That was the real point. And then day 14 humbled the week. In the morning, I was 70 kilos. By the evening, I was 71 Food was simple but different. Fitness muesli, pieces of tomahawk steak with fit chips and salad, then apricots and cherries. But during the day, a cold and fever arrived, so there was no workout, no bike, no strength, no push-through-it moment. Recovery came first, and that was the right decision. Sometimes progress means knowing when not to train. It is frustrating, but it is also part of doing this properly. So what changed from day 8 to day 14? The morning weight moved from 70 kilos to 70 kilos, with a low point of 70 on day 13. The evening numbers moved up and down, which is normal for daily tracking. I completed 5 Peloton sessions, 4 beginner strength sessions, 1 proper rest day, and 1 sick day. That is not a flawless week, but it is a real one, and honestly, that is probably more useful than a week that only looked good on paper. The biggest lesson is that the scale is useful, but it is not the whole project. On day 8, the scale did not move, but I did. On day 9, the number dropped, but the reps mattered more. On day 10, the evening number jumped, but the work was repeated. On day 11, real food stayed in the picture and the workout still happened. On day 12, rest was the right choice. On day 13, the effort went up. On day 14, illness forced recovery. This is the part of getting fit again that does not look dramatic online. It is not one clean before and after. It is 7 ordinary days. Food choices, training decisions, recovery, weight fluctuations, coffee, water, ice cream, and learning when to push and when to stop. Some days looked strong, some days looked messy. Some days were only about not breaking the chain completely. And that may be the real point of week 2. The Fit Again project is not about pretending every day is perfect. It is about building a routine strong enough to survive real life. Real life includes hunger. Real life includes social food. Real life includes tiredness. Real life includes rest days. Real life includes getting sick. The plan has to work inside that reality, not outside it. By the end of day 14, I was not celebrating a dramatic transformation. I was looking at a better pattern. More movement, more consistency, more awareness, and a clearer understanding of what matters. The scale is one signal. The routine is the real project. The next step is not to overreact to the cold or to one heavier evening reading. The next step is simple: recover properly, return carefully, and keep the daily tracking honest. If this project has taught anything so far, it is that progress is not one perfect day. It is the average of many imperfect days repeated for long enough. Week 2 was not perfect, but it was still a step forward. Week 2 is complete. Now the priority is recovery, and then the plan continues.